TitleMatchNetwork.com.
Memories of Randy Savage, and have you ever witnessed any issues that he had with Elizabeth? Because in a lot of interviews that we've done with a lot of the guys, they said that he was very paranoid, and he would put Elizabeth in the closet and lock the door. So
terribly. Yeah, as a matter of fact, if he went to the gym at television, he would lock her in the room, take the key with him. She couldn't get out. Wow, that's heavy. I do recall one time we were doing a Saturday night's main event. Roddy Piper and myself talked about this recently, and what we did is we were passing an apple. Had an apple here, right? You probably remember. Yeah, I remember I don't recall if it was Valentine's Day or what it was.
But the Halloween thing.
The Halloween thing. That's it. But anyway, I had to pass the apple to Elizabeth, and you could hear Savage in the background going. That made me nervous.
All right.
Elizabeth had to pass it to Piper, so there might have been more heat on the exchange between those two than there would have been with me.
We just did an interview with Billy Jack Haynes, and he was telling us there was heat between Savage and Piper over something with Elizabeth. So,
yeah, well, he was very overly protective and paranoid.
Right.
All of the above.
Do you think Vince, with the whole this Elizabeth thing, do you think maybe he knocked Luger too hard and portrayed him in like a real negative light, especially right after that incident happened?
Well, obviously, Lex Luger was involved with Miss Elizabeth, and it was a tragedy. And I talked to Lex recently in New York, and he felt very, very bad about that. I'm sure it affected him, and he did legitimately tell me that he loved the girl, but if you loved her, you wouldn't be feeding her booze and pills and giving her an opportunity to do something like that.
Memories of Kerry Von Erich when he came over.
Kerry came over and was closely associated with Warrior. They hung together. I knew somewhat about Kerry's past. I knew about the tragic incident involving his leg in that motorcycle accident. Kerry had a great look to him. Kerry had a look that would rival, I would say, the Ultimate Warrior. Don't think it would rival a Hulk Hogan. But, of course, he came from a family that some say now, after all but one is gone, was totally dysfunctional. And Fritz drove the kids to all of this, but who knows?
Did you ever see any of the problems?
I never lived in the house.
Right. Did you ever see any of the problems with Kerry?
Yeah, I did. Obviously, he liked to partake of not just a cold beer, but maybe something a little bit more. We were at a promotional event with a client, big toy sponsor of ours for one of the pay-per-view events. And one of the gals from the office, Sue Aitchison, was there, did promotion. Great gal, by the way. Handled that stuff very well, professional. She's a Brit.
All right.
But anyway, we dined at a very popular Italian restaurant. I think it was like at 82nd and 2nd. And Kerry was there. And, of course, you have pasta. You have sauce. And by this time, he was gonzo. And I'm trying to talk to the guy from LJN Toys or whatever it happened to be, and Sue is too. But in the meantime, he's got the fork and the spaghetti and the linguine or whatever it happened to be, and it never make it to the mouth.
Oh, no.
Right.
Yeah, in the sleeves. But I honestly think, he was a great talent. Good worker.
What are your thoughts on the deaths over the last few years with guys like Curt Hennig, Hercules, Warrior Hawk, Bossman?
Tragic. Terrible. These are all young men. The Eddie Guerrero, which is the most recent, so tragic. I've known that kid forever. Nice piece of talent. Good young man. And I think he turned the corner on any of the problems he might have had. But unfortunately, in that particular instance, with a coronary, probably it's damage from the past.
Right.
Curt Hennig senseless. And the story you were telling me about Roddy Piper, you know, you need the pill to get you up. You need the pill to get you down. You need the pill to get you going, keep you going. That's all BS. That's what killed these guys. Rick Rude, Curt Hennig, Louis Spicoli, Davey Boy Smith. I mean, to go down that list, and I miss, a ton of people. It's tragic.
Do you think the boys have learned their lesson, or do you think if they have the attitude, it ain't going to happen to me?
I think there's a certain amount of that. I think that's a good comment. That I'm bulletproof. I'll go on forever. None of us are going to go on forever.
Wasn't a couple of those guys, 3 of them were even from Robbinsdale, weren't they?
Yeah.
Rude,
Hawk?
Kurt,
Was Hawk?
and Hawk.
Yeah. From 110.
Yeah.
Did you see anyone ever crack due to the road schedule during this time period?
Did I see anybody crack?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah. I saw people. I'm lucky I didn't crack. I had to spend a little time on the couch with a guy in a white jacket,
Right.
but we made it through. No, it was grueling. San Diego, California, probably in 1986 or 87. In one day, I did 141 2-minute and 54-second, essentially 3-minute interviews. 141
Wow.
in one day, standing on your feet, putting up with the boys being restless and everything. It was a tough deal, and there were times that you said, "Can I keep going on?" Well, you did.
Did you talk to anyone about going back to WWF at this period of time, or?
I had constant conversation with Kevin Dunn.
Okay.
As a matter of fact, before I signed the last contract, I said, "Is there anything that I could do up there, kind of as a, I'm thinking that, some of the old time Jack Whitaker, Dick Shapp, do kind of special features and things like that, where I could kind of glide into this thing,
Right.
but still be a part of it." And Kevin says, "I'll work on it, because we'd love to have you back here now. And Vince feels good about you and about your work." So the next thing I knew, about 6 months later, Kevin said, "I've got a show for you. It's called Confidential.
Right.
Let's see what we can do."
Do you think that show exposed the business too much?
Well, I think what it did, I don't know if it exposed the business. I mean, this business has been exposed
Right.
about as much as any business could
Right.
be. But I think what it did, it put the office in a position where it had to coincide with their storylines ongoing. And I think the real great pieces that we did were on Stone Cold Steve Austin. I think the delving into the tragic death of Miss Elizabeth. I think that maybe some of the things we did with Shawn Michaels and his differences with the office, and exposing that on a show. What does Confidential mean? This is the inside track.
TitleMatchNetwork.com